Hello, everybody. Before we start this episode, I just wanted to say that we get into a lot of deep stuff in this episode, and I wanted to give out this number, 988. I know how hard it can be out here and the struggles that everybody has to go through. And just know that you don't have to go through anything alone, and there are people out there willing to listen and talk to you and help you. And, any of us are here to talk to you as well. Like I said in this episode, I might not know what to say, but I can listen and I can help however much I can. And so, but we wanted to give out this number once again, 988. You can call it, you can text it, and they are there to help and just be there for you and to listen. We just want to say thank you for the support, thank you for the love, and here we go. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Back again. Surprise. Tyler's from LA.
God.
I am today.
Man.
A lost animal. No,
We sniff out our own, don't we, Natty?
I was going to ask you, I didn't get you on the last episode. How was that Pahuska event?
Man, it was pretty good. Those Osages really did a good job over there. I have to commend them. They had several storytellers get up and they spoke, in Osage, and then, they translated it. And, man, they had some pretty eerie stories around there. One of the spookiest ones that I thought was pretty eerie is they're talking about that road from Pahuska to Ponca. I don't know if you ever traveled down there, but there's a four-way intersection. It's got flashing lights. I've been through there several times, coming back from Ponca or Newkirk or whatever, and they were saying that there's a lot of people that have stories about that area. They'll see people sitting on the side of the roads, or they'll be walking in their spirit form. And I thought, dang, that's crazy. I'm sure, a lot of times when I'm flying through there, I'm on the phone, or texting or something like that. So I don't really pay attention. But I was telling my nephew, next time I go through there at night, I'm going to really pay attention, because there were several people that had stories, same story that they seen, either someone sitting there or crossing the road. And my understanding was that place has always had a lot of wrecks, in that area, because people can't see over that hill. They'll pull out there and bam, somebody hit them, and that's it. And they said it's been like that for, ever since that road's been there. So, it makes sense to me why that place is, super haunted. So, and then of course, they had that superintendent's building that was, several people had, similar stories of, the same thing that's happening, in that superintendent's house. And of course, right now at the point, Osage Nation can't put nobody's offices in that building, because there's something in there that just really bothers people. So they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with that superintendent's house. So anyway, we were supposed to go in there that day, but temperatures dropped real low that day, and it was supposed to be super cold. And we were going to have that event kind of next to that area, and we were going to get ready to go inside that. That's what the original plan was that we got to go in there before the story event. And I had invited some professional ghost hunters to come in with all their fancy equipment. And so they showed up. Of course, it was so cold, they had to go ahead and move that whole event indoors to their cultural center, which is across town. So they went on ahead and closed up the house so they could move everything over there and, set stuff up. So we didn't really get to go in there. But the cool thing that we did, in that event center or that culture center, whatever they want to call it, there's several stories of a spirit that walks up and down, I guess what you would say, I want to say it's the east wall inside that building. Mm-hmm. They say it just kind of goes from one door to another door. There's office over here and then office over here, and it just kind of goes back and forth. Well, after that story event, I told those ghost hunters, I said, I know we didn't get to go in the superintendent's house, but, this building's supposed to be haunted, so if you guys want to, set your equipment up. And this is the story behind it. They had several different equipment, and every one of those equipment picked up the same entity in the same spot, moving back and forth. They had this graph, that anything walks, in the middle, in front of it, you'll see the outline of it. Then they have that thing where it maps the spirit, makes a stick figure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Does that. And then they have this other one. It reads the temperature, of an area. Let's say like there's a cold spot here, it'll show up blue. Well, all of them had that same man type figure, and so to me, you had 3 different devices with the same information. These were 3 totally different devices, and they worked different, but they all kept catching something, moving back and forth in that area. And not only that, they caught some audio, and they asked, who that was. They said, who are you? And of course, he said, nobody. I'm a nobody. So to me, that kind of tells me that was probably an old Indian guy. I ain't nobody. Don't ask me who I am. I'm nobody. So, anyway, it kind of made sense to me. But they was telling me the history of that building or that area. It used to be an old VFW building. And, of course, was always people in there working, So one of the questions they asked, why are you here? And it said it's working. So, but the Osage, museum people, they were trying to figure out who it might have been. But, again, it could have been a lot of people that, because that building's been there for a long time. And so with the few questions that were asked and their answers, it could have been, a lot of those guys, any of those guys that used to work in that building. But it was definitely a man, because it was a man's voice. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I posted some of the pictures on there on my Facebook page and on Instagram of some of those equipment that they were using. I was pretty impressed because, I've never personally seen that equipment up front. Mm-hmm. And they were able to bring that equipment and kind of show us how it worked and kind of, the ins and outs of this equipment, what you look at, to make sure it's real, because sometimes any equipment that you use, you got to kind of know how to work it, because you can get false readings with any equipment. And that's the key, a lot of people will say this, use that, or don't use this, don't use that. But I don't care what kind of equipment you use, it can all give you false readings unless you use your how you say it, intuition, mm-hmm. your own supernatural abilities. And to me, that's why I always say, I don't like myself using a lot of fancy equipment. I said, just whatever whatever equipment you want to use, let's use it, because if they're wanting to communicate, they're going to communicate with you, whatever you're using. And whatever you're using, no matter what it is, everybody's going to either believe it or not believe it. So a lot of people say, "Oh, that don't work. That ain't no good." So it doesn't matter what you use. Everybody, you're going to have those. How you say it?
Skeptics.
Yeah, skeptics. So anyway, you always got people like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. There were several cool stories that I was very impressed with that night. And well, there was another story that I thought was just straight up eerie. I think I talked in the last episode about the minister guy talking about that possession. Mm-hmm. That was also like, man, that hit home. I mean, that was, to me, if you were there and you heard the story, I mean, it was very chilling, to hear those kind of things, because a lot of the stuff that he expressed, I know on this show we've expressed those type of thoughts too, dealing with some of these negative entities. So I thought that was pretty cool. They had some old stories, like I was telling you, that they spoke in Osage. I was very impressed with that, because a lot of tribes, they can't do that. Mm-hmm. For a tribe to get up and express a story or a prayer or whatever, in their own language, not very many of them can do that today. Of course, you got some tribes, that are still got fluent speakers, but for the most part, it's not happening, for whatever reason. So anyway, I thought that was probably one of the best things about this event. I mean, you had a lot of speakers get up, and that was pretty impressive. So I really had a good time at that event, plus hearing those stories, eating their food. No. And, just getting to meet everyone. It was just amazing. A lot of those, like I was saying at that event, those Osages, they got 3 different districts. You got Pawhuska, you have Hominy, and you have the Gray Horse or Fairfax area. And, all those stories were different, and you could tell which district was telling, a story. But I have to give it to those Gray Horse people, because this was our second event doing it in Osage country, and those Gray Horse people come out. So I'm hoping I get a call from the Gray Horse district to do an event there. But, again, whether they do or they don't, we've got a lot of their stories at these other 2 events. So to me, they dominated within Osage country, their stories. And, you heard a lot of stories about Osage County, which I was pretty impressed.
Mm-hmm. No, was there a mystery person there? Remember, like at Hominy, there was a person that nobody even knew who they were?
No, not really, except for that spirit that we caught roaming around in that one area. Mm-hmm. I thought that was pretty cool. I was kind of looking around to see, but nobody really told any DW stories like that night, so I'm thinking maybe that had something to do with it. But they were talking about spirits, and then we got proof of a spirit. Mm-hmm. And so again, to me, that was pretty awesome.
Good. I have not heard anybody say, I know that person from Hominy, so no. I'm glad I didn't see her.
Me too. That means I'm living right. Sometimes I question myself, some things I do, and I think, dang, I'm the last person to be talking about living right. So, but anyway, I thought, again, I was just impressed with that whole night. Everything went good. Some of these events you get people up there and they just ramble and, they just lose the crowd. But each one of these speakers that got up, they knew how to talk. They got up and they expressed in a good way, and everything went smooth. Everything was like gelling over there. There was no dead time, no nothing, and everybody was happy to hear each other one talk. And like I was saying, you got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and to me that was awesome. You got truly history at this event, plus the spookiness. And to me, that was the coolest thing. I know one of the major complaints of that event was that I didn't get up and I didn't tell any stories. And the reason was I had so many people, wanting to tell their stories that I wanted to make sure everybody got an opportunity. So that's what I did was, let those guys, have at it. This was their time to talk about Osage stories. And that's also why I was there, to hear their stories. And they brought it. And I was pretty impressed. I was, if the Osage history, they've had their troubles just like every other tribe, but right now they have a strong language program, and their leaders really promote and support that language program. And so they got a huge language department over there that's doing great things. And, I just can't say enough good words about the Osage Nation and the things that they're doing over there.
Now, if there's one story you could have told there, what would it have been?
Dang.
For the people listening,
God,
that wanted you to tell a story, what was one you would have told?
Well, actually, I wanted to tell this story, and I told you guys this. I told you guys a little bit about this. I talked about going to this old gangster's home over there in Las Vegas, and when I got back to my room, I had a shadow entity in my room. It was standing at the foot of my bed. And of course, I tried my best to take care of those things. And as I always say, sometimes you get these things that follow you. Sometimes they're not easy to get rid of. That's why I always say, be cautious if you go out there and look for these things. Because sometimes when they show up, they might not be so easy to get rid of. And so, I did what I was supposed to do, trying to make that room comfortable, send that thing on its way. I thought I did a good job, but, when I was leaving, I seen it at the airport, before I got on the plane, and it kind of scared me. One, because I thought, that might be a bad sign to get on this plane. I was sitting there thinking, but, a lot of times you can't think like that because you'll bring it upon yourself, they say. So, again, I tried to make those special prayers before I stepped on that airplane and take care of things that I needed to take care of before that plane took off, and of course, it was on the back of my mind all through that flight. Boy, that's all I was doing was praying till I got back to Tulsa, and like I was telling you guys, when we got back super late. It was nighttime, and we was pulling into the carport, and of course the lights, before the lights went off, you could see the wall in front of you, and I seen that shadow just walk across. So I knew it came back with me, and so I had to ask for extra help, kind of take care of this thing, because I must, I know myself, like I always say on this show, that you got to come correct sometimes. And, sometimes you got to understand when you don't have it, and you need to reach out to the ones that do. And luckily, I got enough family and, people around me that know those kind of things. And, I thought, I made a call into that. And this is where I always say, I was always told that these things don't have, how you say, time. Time means nothing to them. For us, time means everything. But a second, a year, a millennium is all the same to them. And, I've been hearing stories, about, what you call multi-dimension things and portals and stuff like that. And sometimes things aren't always cut dry for you. It's not always black and white. But then, I was in a wreck. It was a pretty bad wreck. I'm still recouping from that wreck. I still have a lot of issues from that wreck that I'm, trying to get better on. But when I was in that wreck, I seen that same shadow walk by my car. Split second, I was conscious enough, and I saw it again. So, even after that wreck, again, I had to do measures. So whatever this thing is, like I said, sometimes they don't go away so easy. And so, again, if you're wanting to do something like this, be cautious, because, you might think you got the power or you got the juice or whatever. But, sometimes these things don't go away easy. Sometimes they put up a fight. And if they want you, they're not going to give up. And again, these things don't sleep. They don't eat. They don't get tired like you and I. And so the one time you let yourself go, that's the time that they'll get you. And that was the story that I was wanting to tell that night.
Dang. Tyler?
Yeah, I got no words.
Oh, you look like you had a bunch of
I've got to sit on that one for a minute, man. Let that one stew. That was a good one, man.
Yeah.
I hate that happened to you.
I know.
I don't know what to say other than you're right. Sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for because you may get it. And like you said, and you have always said, this is no joke. These things are real, and you can't be just messing around with it just because you saw somebody do it on TV or you saw it in a movie, because these things can come at you, and like you said, like you just don't wish it away. There's things that you got to do and you got to know people. If you can't do it, then you got to know people that know what to do, and I don't know. That's I hate that happened to you, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I thought that would have been I really wanted to tell that story, but like I said, I also wanted to give those Osages an opportunity to tell their stories, and boy, I was real impressed with them. So again, hopefully some of them might be listening to this podcast, and that was the story that I wanted to share that night. So I appreciate you giving me that opportunity to say that. So, but
I thought you were going to just tell us a story about LPs giving hickeys. But
well, since you brought that up,
no, I'm just kidding.
I was telling these guys just went on a trip just recently, and I went to this dance, and of course everybody comes up and tells me, I got a story I want to tell you. So this is something that happened to me and mine. They were saying, every year when they have this dance, these girls have their girls' night out. They get a room and they like to celebrate, and it's just girls. They talk those stories and share with one another, and they might sip a lot. They say, sip all night long, and share stories and do whatever women do, and said after midnight they said it looked like Wounded Knee in there. So it was all laid out. So one was left with that last sip in that bottle. So they was taking it down, making sure none of it goes to waste like that way, Anyway, they said after that, this lady, she said she thought she saw an LP in the room, and it went from the bathroom into a wall. And that's the last thing she remembered. Then she woke up, and not only her, but all the rest of the ladies in that was in that room with her, they woke up and they was all hickeyed up, top to bottom, they said. I said, God. And they swear up and down it was those LPs. So you young ladies out there listening, wanting to go out and do those kind of things, those women nights, be careful, because I was told by a reliable source those LPs like to leave hickeys. That's what was told to me, like that. So I have a listener story from Amanda Louise Counts Lawson. She says, OCO, 116th Cherokee, through my dad's side. There was a story passed down for generations about our grandma bear, full-blooded. Her name was Amanda. This was in Carter County, Kentucky. It used to be known as Count's Crossroads. She was attacked by a bear and killed it with a pine knot. We were told never to take something from the earth that you don't put something back. I'm not much of a green thumb, but I repurpose as much as I can to keep bad things out of the earth. There's a story that my great-grandpa had met a man in a dark suit and a hat near the river's edge and lost his mind shortly after. It's hard getting stories out of people. There's a medicine that the family said to never put on someone because it's dangerous for that person and you. I've listened to your podcasts multiple times now and never heard you all mention a she-bear. That medicine they were afraid of, is that the same thing as DW? Have you ever heard of it? I can't mention it around certain members of that side of the family because they will become completely undone just mentioning it. But the medicine is generational and it's mean. It's still going on, so I'm assuming that this never been put back. Thoughts? And the thing I'd like to say about that, we kind of addressed several entities. One of those entities, we did talk about this one. We just didn't name it. And it's the same reason. We don't name it because we don't want it on us. Not only out of respect for each other in this room, but for our families and the ones that we have back at home. And so we have talked about this entity that you're talking about in this medicine, and what they're telling you is correct. It will come back on you. It will drive you crazy. And again, I had posted something on my Instagram when I went to San Diego, California. I think it was called the Patterson House. You might want to check out that Instagram post, because what you're talking about is in those pictures. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yes. Me too. I'm with Chris. Yeah, I remember we did talk about that a little bit. But yeah, that's why we don't really name a lot of stuff on here. That's why I have nicknames for a lot of stuff, like DW, LPs, not little. You know what Tyler said. No.
I said,
Yeah.
What else? What else do you have?
yeah, that is one of the things that I always, people like get all raged up about. Like, why don't y'all just say it? And I'm like, it's just not that easy, man. It's like, I know y'all come listen to this to kind of learn, and we learn from each other, but I don't know. It's just like, I can get you to the water, but I ain't gonna make you drink it.
Yeah.
That's up to you. If you want to say all those things, you know what? Go ahead, but don't put it on me.
I know, and that's why we do it in the daytime too.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's hard because like some podcasts will want to have me on like supernatural ones. They want to have me on at nighttime. And it's like, oh, man, I don't know, because I've done one at nighttime and there was so much activity between the two of us. Like they were out of state, but things were happening here and there.
I remember that one
because we were like, I was mentioning a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not them.
What was it? It was not them, but it was another
Fallen
one.
Hour Radio.
Yeah, that's what it was. I remember listening to that, and you're like, "Did you hear that?" And they're like, "Huh?"
Yeah, and I was stupid enough to do that at 1 a.m. here in the dark. I turned every light off because I wanted an experience, and I got what I wanted, man. And it was so scary after that. I didn't even want to turn around in here because I kept hearing stuff around here. It was really weird, and I kept hearing stuff on their end, and they were saying they were hearing growling over here. And it was so, like, it freaked me out, but I was trying to keep my composure, and after that, man, I smudged the entire house. Like, I went room to room. I went everywhere to smudge everywhere, and, man, I, like, prayed really hard. So I got what I wanted, and it was not something I did want.
Don't want it again.
No. So that's why, like, when we started doing this, I said, let's do it in the daytime. And then, like, if I do other podcasts about supernatural stuff, I tend to want to do it when it's daylight. But if we have to do it at night, I'll do the same thing we do here. Like, I'll just say, like, oh, DW, LP. If you don't know, then go back to our old episodes and you will find out what that is. But
I remember we did that TikTok live. It was like at 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, yeah.
And we kept getting called out for it, too. And they're like, what do y'all want to talk about? And like, not much I can talk about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I kind of mentioned some stuff on there, but I didn't keep doing it. I just was filling stuff in, and I was being cautious about what I was doing.
Yeah.
Trying to be smart about it.
Not like Yehola.
He likes
Man,
to name it, right?
That
there.
guy.
Yehola. We got your drink right here.
Yeah.
Tyler's drinking it right now on your behalf.
Tyler's drinking you.
I did pour a little out, though, in his honor.
Dang.
It does taste a little gamey.
A little sweaty. No.
Yeah, a little sweaty.
Dang.
It smells like gamey Yehola.
Yeah.
Leave a bad taste in my mouth.
You just sound like Yehola when you talk after drinking it. Yeah. Have his voice.
Dang it.
Oh, man.
I also have another listener story, and this one's from our nephew, Omar. So if you guys...
What up?
Let me see if I can...
I want to send you another story I forgot about. It's just a personal story back when I was in high school times. At this house, it was fairly new, but there was definitely some interesting things that would go on. one time, me and my uncle were home alone, and we heard like the washer machine door closed when it was already closed. We heard like the dryer kind of like banging a little bit, like as if it was on almost. And he asked me, he's like, "Is your dad home?" "No, he went to work, you know." Like, "Oh, is his girlfriend?" I don't know, you know, I don't really like her, so I don't really keep tabs, but let me go check. And so I would go check, you know, like, you know, knocked on the door. The other two doors is my room and his room, and there was nobody home. He ended up leaving me home alone until 11 p.m. It was kind of scary. But as soon as I told him nobody was home, he's like, "Huh." Maybe like 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, he's like, "All right, I'll be back." I'm like, "Can I go with?" He's like, "No, man, I'm just going to go to the store. I'll be back." I'm like, "Bro, come on, man. Like, I'm not trying to be here alone, you know?" He's like, no, man. You're not going to be alone, man. Like, I'll be back." Bro, he left me there until 11 p.m. I was like, freaking heck, man. But then there is another story that this one really tripped me out. This is the only time I for sure saw something like out of the corner of my eye kind of thing, and it was freaky. So my uncle had a daughter that he was like fighting for custody. So sometimes she would come over and like stay the night and stuff. And I want to say she was like 8, 9 ish. You know, young enough to still be short. And I remember like she was supposed to be in bed. It was already like 8:30, 9. And I'm like sitting there playing my video games. I got until 9:30 before I gotta go to bed for you know 9:30, 10 to, you know, for school tomorrow, you know. And out of the corner of my eye, I see like a young girl in like a white gown kind of thing. I don't know if it's a gown or whatever, but that like kind of like sleeping dressed thing. It was white. It was white. It was a white shirt for sure. I remember that. Because where the staircase was, there was this like a mueble, like a dresser. And it's not a dresser, but it's like a cabinet, but a movable cabinet. It's like a dresser, but a cabinet form. Like, I don't know what you call those, man. A hutch? No, it's not a hutch. Whatever. It was a brown background, and I saw something white pass it, okay? And it looked like a dress and like a young girl. And I turned, and it, like, they already made their turn up to the corner, turn the corner to go upstairs. And I'm thinking, like, you know, like, it's probably my cousin. And I'm like, "Hey, Ariel, you better be in bed, you know?" And I walk over to the staircase, and I look up, and there's nobody up there, like, walking up or up at the top or anything. And I go, like, knock on the room, and she's knocked. She, like, passed out already. And then I shut the door. I ran over to my uncle's room, because my dad still wasn't home. And I ran over to my uncle's room, and I was like, "Yo, dude, like, I thought I saw Ariel, but it wasn't her. Like, I don't know what the heck, you know." It was wild, man. I was freaked out. Dang, dude. But yeah, I was freaked out. It was pretty crazy. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Love you, Uncle Chris, and I hope you're doing well. I hope things are going good. I'm looking forward for the spooky stories on the reservation. I told my friends about you, you know, but they're all kind of busy, you know, 24/7. You know, one of them's a streamer, and then the other one's trying to be an MMA fighter. So he's pretty much work, kid, and school, or work, kid, and train. But yeah, I've been talking about you guys and your guys' videos. Looking forward for the new episodes, man, and appreciate you know, like, you being open to just receiving stories. I like that as well. But yeah, love you, Uncle Chris, and hope you're doing well.
Mado, nephew Omar.
Yeah.
He always comes with a good story.
I know. Omar's cool.
Yeah, good guy.
He hit me up asking what it meant to live clean. Because remember we were talking about living clean and stuff. Mentally. This is before this last one, but I guess way back in the summertime, we kind of mentioned like when you deal with like spirits and stuff, you have to be mentally like ready for that stuff. Like, you know, no alcohol, no type of like substance or anything like that, you know, and keep your mind ready for these type of entities that you may come across. And he was asking about that, and because we kind of touched on it, but we didn't really get into it. But he was asking me about that, and I just said, man, you know, Chris could probably go more into it, but from what I see, it's like, yeah, like understanding like these things are real and not getting like, I don't know, just learning how to deal with them and knowing they're real and just trying your best to like be like sober in a way, you know, because you mentioned that to me about like going to these events or like even going ghost hunting. Like you want to be like the cleanest part of yourself. Like you want to get, like you want to, if you want to see these things or connect with them or whatever, you got to focus really hard, and you have to understand like they will talk to you, you know, and you have to like be aware of who you are and what you are putting into your body. And so I just said like, I'm not saying like stop drinking, or I don't know what you do, you know, but I'm just saying like I don't do any of that stuff, you know. Every now and again, yeah, but I don't like I was like growing up in college or whatever. Like that would have been a bad time for this. But you know, now like I don't do a lot of anything, you know. I'm strictly like business, and I do what I have to do to represent myself the best way I can with whatever I do, you know. And he was just saying like, thank you, man, you know. And I didn't hear from him for a while, and then like I guess he kind of like started going that route, you know, like cleaning up like his just the things he did, you know, to make things like better for the, and he was just like thanking me for that. And so I remember that, you know. So shout out to you, Omar. If Chris has any more to say about that, you know, he can probably go more into detail about that. But that was just from my point of view, I guess. That's how I kind of got it in my head of speaking it to you. But I don't know if you want to add more to that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit to add, but I'll try to keep it short. You know, keeping yourself clean, that sounds, you know, super easy, but, you know, there's a lot of things that go into that, you know, keeping yourself clean, like we talked about in a previous episode. You know, your mind, body, and spirit is one. You know, no matter what religion you believe in, you know, they kind of have the same kind of philosophy, you know, mind, body, and spirit. You know, ceremonial people knew those kind of things. You know, they always talked about keeping your medicine strong by keeping yourself strong. You and your medicine is one. You know, if you're weak, it's weak. If it's weak, you're weak. So when you go prepare it, you got to be at your most strongest time. And sometimes, you know, what that means, not only does it mean to refrain from any mind-altering drug. Now, I understand, you know, some people have to take medication for certain things to help them, you know, and, you know, it's not saying necessarily that, but, you know, if you can, you know, keep those things out of you, you know, alcohol or negativity. And negativity is a hard thing to express because, you know, you might have bad will towards somebody, or you might have regret. You know, that's negativity. You know, if you have regret, these evil things are going to play with you like a fiddle. You know, maybe you have regrets of, you know, things that you shouldn't have done or you should have done. You felt guilty about that, you know. Those things are going to use it against you, you know. And that's what they mean by weak-minded. You know, you go in, you know, you always see, you know, these scary movies that priest goes in there and put the cloth around their neck and, you know, what was it? The Exorcist, that thing started talking to him about his own mama, and he's what? My mom? Oh no, you didn't, And see, that's the thing. It uses things against you. So if you're hot headed, you're easy to get mad. You use negativity like nobody's business. It's gonna play with you on that. And it's gonna get you. It's gonna use that to get you. And that's what they mean. Try to make your mind, body, and spirit clean. Not only eat right, exercise, but have a good mental thoughts. If come to grips with the things that bother you and let them go. There's an old saying: you can't ask evil to do good and good to do evil. And for some reason, you hear people, boy, they'll say prayers, take care of my enemy. I want you to do this, do that, and you're asking God to do something evil. And you shouldn't do that. You should ask for peace, love, harmony. If my enemies do something to me, take care of those things for me. That's all you got to say. You want to say, I want that guy to lose everything. Start really going off, have that long list. I want his dog to die. I want his cat to go blind. His mama to go crazy. You don't have to go all that far. Because you're asking God to do something, bad. In the same way, the other way, people pray to those bad entities. I want you to take care of this individual so I can have this. Maybe I can have these riches. Now you're asking that evil thing to take care of someone so you can have good luck. It don't work that way. He ain't gonna, those things ain't gonna listen to you anyway. They're gonna go after somebody, but they're gonna come after you too. And so, again, today, I don't know, you don't hear people really talking about those things. So I think that's a good question, and I hope I'm expressing this in an understandable way. Again, when they talk about these things, if you're not eating right, you're gonna feel bad. You're gonna not be able to focus. That allows you to have depression, anger, and all those negative feelings to come in. Again, that's not taking care of your body. Your mind, if you're got a lot of regret, or you're fighting with somebody, or you have bad feelings towards somebody, you're already in a negative way. You got to let those things go. You got to come to peace with things and, make things right, and that gets you in that good mental state, and if you go in there and you don't believe in anything, your spirit's weak. You got to either believe in that good book or whatever you're going to believe it wholeheartedly, and that makes your spirit strong. You bring all these things together, you're going to be something. That's what they used to say. And, just like I had mentioned before, Russell and you guys are, trying this fasting and stuff. That's the old ancient way. It's even biblical, even to fast. It's good for your spirit. It's good for your body. It's good for your mind. Doing those type of exercises, that's a good thing. Again, all of that is a combination. Those old medicine people, human church people, if they really wanted to pray for something, I know Creek ministers, they used to fast, long time. Our ceremonial people, they used to fast long time, before they made medicine. Now fasting's from noon to 5 o'clock. Or from 8 in the morning to 11 o'clock. That's fasting time. Who eats during that time anyway? But anyway, you know, if you really want something, you're gonna show God or the Creator that you mean business. You're gonna fast. You're gonna put it to use. People, these old Indian ways. From putting up a teepee to building a fire to cooking food. They told you come in there in a good way. You got animosity towards someone, hatred to somebody, then you don't need to be there. You living in a bad way, drinking and fighting, sleeping around, It might sound like the good life, but if you're trying to do something and pray for somebody or ask somebody to be healed, you're asking God to step in and take care of this individual, then you're going to have to show him that you mean this for this individual. It's not going to be just doing it out of a prayer. Even Jesus fasted 40 days and 40 nights. Again, those are old ways. Our ceremonial people, I can only say for Muskogees, they used to fast for 7 days. That's a long time. I know. Come 11:30, I don't eat, boy. I'm going crazy.
With that Bigfoot pancake.
Somebody's gonna get stabbed. I don't eat at noon, boy. So anyway, and I gotta have a couple of snacks. So anyway, and even like in the afternoon, I gotta have those couple of snacks and eat at 5. That's my routine. So again, if I really want something, then I gotta show God that I mean business. And like I said, whether it's ceremonial way or church way, I'm gonna show him that I mean that. I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna do the things I need to do. Like I said, these evil things, they use depression, anger, all those negative feelings in a bad way to attack you. And that's, something that, people don't really talk about today, even in our ceremonial ways. Indians were bad about not forgiving, and you'll see that in our ceremonies today. They'll say, we're not like these people. We're not like those people. They teach or they talk hate. Hate's negativity. If ain't nobody told them that, then I'm saying it today. You hate on somebody, that's negative. And no matter whether you're Indian, whether you whatever nationality you are, hate is hate. And if you go back to those old ancient ways of first man, those weren't in there. All these people had the same rule: treat people good. But we forgot it over time. And so, that's, going to do those good things for the blessings that you're asking for. That's why they used to say, there's certain people that you go to if you really want to save somebody or you want to heal somebody, because these negative forces, they're not playing around. Their sole goal is to take a life. They're going to take everything away from you. They're going to make you hate yourself. They're going to make you hate your family. They're going to make you hate everything and everyone. That's what they're there for. So, those were old teachings that, was taught to me through my Muskogee people. Now, somewhere we forgot that because we can sure hold grudges today. So,
Yeah. I mean, that's what I told him too about negativity, keeping kind of a positive outlook on a lot of stuff, just in general of like, if something bad happens to you, just acknowledge it, be like, that happened, right? So I can't let it be stuck on my mind, like, oh, well, this happened. Well, what else is going to happen? I bet something else happened, like, because you're speaking these things, like this negative thing out of your mouth into the universe or the world or wherever you're at, and it can travel. Like, words are really powerful.
exactly.
They can be very powerful. And like you're talking about these negative things, man, like they can just invade your mind and like make you not love yourself, make you think you're not worthy of anything or not, and just drive you away. That's what happened to me, man. Like, I was so depressed and just stressed out, and I was just thinking like the worst is going to happen every day, and it's not going to ever get any better. I would like think like that, when I got out, when I couldn't go back to school, and I was trying to find something to do, and it was just like the world was like crumbling where I was, and I was just trying to find who I was as a young adult who did not know anything, living in another state. And, luckily I found some stuff to do, which was MMA and everything, and that kept my mind like healthy. And there was like some cool thoughts from that along the way that helped me. Now I look back on that now of like keeping just this positive mindset of just do everything you're supposed to do, like do it right, show up, be consistent and work on you so you don't have to work on these things tomorrow, or it won't come back to you like 10 years later. Like, do like the right things, good things now, and that's what I was telling them too about negativity, man. It's like, I know it's hard to get away from that type of like mindset, because it was for me. It was hard to actually realize like good things can happen, like really good things can happen, but it's so hard to just, it's so easy, when you feel like you want to do something, but then your mind and these negative thoughts come to your head of like, you're not going to do that. You can't do that. Why would you do that? Why would you think about even doing something like that? And it makes you get stuck in a way where you're right. You're right. This voice is right. These negative thoughts about me and myself they're right. What do I have to offer? And then you just go on like thinking like, what could I have done with doing that? So, I mean, it's just like listening to other people talk about how powerful words can be, and just a positive look on a lot of stuff, a negative look, it does have an effect on you. And so that's what, like him, I just told him like, if you think negatively, then you're going to draw that around you. That's energy. That's energy you don't want, and just try to be positive about a lot of stuff and just work on it daily. You don't have to work on it like, it doesn't have to be done like right away, because it takes a long time to work on that stuff, to get out of that headspace of like negativity. So it's taken like, I don't know, it's taken a while to understand this type of stuff, but man, I mean, I guess that's like the supernatural, just trying to get your mind, away from who you truly can be. Right. So that's what I was just telling him, and just, I don't know if drink or anything, but I just mentioned that too, because it helps a lot, and now with eating, trying to eat correctly, that helps a lot too. And then fasting. I remember my dad told me he fasted one time for like 3 days, and he prayed for something. It was for a relative, and he prayed so hard and he fasted. I thought he was crazy, because I was like, I might have been like 19 or 20, and I didn't understand what fasting was, because I was eating all the time, and my metabolism was up and everything, and I didn't understand what he was talking about. But now, we just talked about a little bit of fasting, and you show what you can do your mind is able to do, and you have proof of it, like, and you have faith and you pray really hard, these things can work out. And it did. I forgot who it was, but dang, that was so long ago. I guess they were in a bad car wreck and didn't know if he was going to make it through or not. And sure enough, after that 3 days, man, he came out of the coma. And it was like a miracle. But, looking back on it, it's like, dang, my dad really... Because my dad's like... He can be very, like... He sets his mind to something, he's going to do it. He'll do it. Like, there's no, like, no about it. He's just going to do it. So, that was, like... Now, looking back on it, it's like, wow, fasting for 3 days, drinking water, I guess. I don't know what he did. But, shoot, man. That's what it is, man. It's just having, like, a positive outlook on a lot of stuff and having that faith you talk about. We all try to talk about. So, man, shout out to you, Omar. I almost said Armor.
Armor.
Omar, shout out to you, man. Thank you for all the stories you send us and asking a lot of questions. And, I'm glad we got to touch on that, because I always forgot to ask you that. I always forget because I have a lot of messages on my Instagram and then you playing this story. I was like, oh, yeah, Chris can probably go more into detail about that.
I'd like to hear Tyler's.
Yeah, it seems to me like our episode kind of unfolded into something else, which is a good thing.
Yeah, which is good, yeah.
Which I think this is perfectly, apropos, because I think we're all kind of going through that right now. New year, and you always hear that new year, new me thing, and I think everybody at this table has stumbled or been in a dark place at one time or another. And it is hard to kind of, change your outlook. Just to kind of touch on what Chris said, about like fasting. I know, being down at the grounds, the Mikos will tell you, no drink, no women, no, when the ceremony's coming up or dance is coming up, and, or they say, we're going to take medicine on this day, and or we're going to touch medicine on this day, and you can't do this, or, don't drink this, and, don't, or whatever. And you go in, it's hard to stay straight like that. It really is. And then, but once you go through that ceremony and then when you come out, whether it's a sweat or whether it's, touching medicine in the circle or out of the circle, you feel alive again. I know it's definitely changed my life, for the better, being down there and participating in things like that. Because it was kind of like with you, I was in a real dark place, I had lost my house, I had lost a rent house, my wife at the time, walked out and left me and the girls and, our boy, and, I didn't know what to do. I was just lost, and, I turned to ways that, I shouldn't be turning to. I started, it starts out easy, like, I'm just going to have a little drink to take the edge off, and then, oh man, like that tasted pretty good. I better get me another one. And then one turns into two, and, then the next week it's like, threes, and now you're into three, and three's not getting it anymore. So, you just kind of spiral, and you just kind of get tired of trying to, put on a front that everything's okay, and I was trying to stay strong for the kids, and trying to, like, putting on, doing what I do, teaching school. You're not allowed to have a bad day. You got to put on that front for the kids, and because that's your job is, you got to make that safe space for them, or that welcome space for them. And you got to be Teflon in there. Like nothing can get to you, because you don't want them to, the kids are savvy, that they know when something's going on. And so I just ended up holding a lot inside, and then I held all of that just grief, and then just to kill that grief or that sadness that I had, just drinking, way more than I should. And then it turned into, like, now it's not just a weekend thing. Now it's a, in the middle of the week kind of thing. And it just, before you know it, it catches up with you, and you are doing things, I know as Native people, we self-harm sometimes because that's just our grieving process, and people don't understand, that's kind of how we deal with things, whether it's cutting hair or cutting your body or what, just anything to feel other pain, or suffer, because I think that we're just a people of suffering. We just feel like we have to suffer sometimes. And, before man, it's just, that's all you are. That's all you're about. And I didn't know how to get out of it, and just one night I can remember, I telling my parents, like, I don't want to be around no more. I texted my parents and just like, would y'all really care, like if I just wasn't here no more, and then my parents came over and, I was not in my right state of mind, and my dad literally like knocked some sense into me. Like literally, but I needed that at the time and I didn't realize that, but it was a game changer for me to have that love and, that support that I always had, but I kept turning my back to it. I didn't have my mind open to it. And I can remember just that next morning, I just ashamed, and just like, man, why was I being like that, and I just said, no more. I'm not going to do that anymore. And just right then and there, I quit drinking. I quit, going out late at night, and I tried to make, little steps. I started, working out and, going on walks instead of, going to the liquor store. I just walk around the neighborhood. I like walking around in the cold air. Like, I don't know, because this is like around this time of the year, I just remember being real cold out and just taking a cold walk, or something like that. And, and that was, going on 10 years or so ago, and even now, like I might drink every once in a while, but it doesn't happen very, very often. I don't need that anymore. I have other things. I got remarried and, I had 2 new babies and, I found other things to kind of fill that void. And that's, really the only advice that I can really give people is find what makes you happy. Find things that you're interested in. Find things that you like to do and then go do those things. The hardest part for me was to cut out people that I thought were there for me, and I realized they were just feeding me, feeding me to do all of these things that I, kind of twist me up into who I wasn't, and kind of egging me to be, who I wasn't supposed to be. And like, I don't know, like you just got to set your mind to it. And like I said, the hardest part for me was just getting past that, like trying to come out of that and just literally cold turkey, just stopping everything and just refocusing, and like I said, it took a lot of love and it took a lot of support. I didn't do it by myself. I'm not going to sit here and tell any of y'all that, and I know there's a lot of people out there that don't have that in their lives. And, I don't know if I have what kind of advice I would have. For people that feel like they don't have that, you have that. You just got to be open your mind to that and accept the people that are there for you, and that are there to help you. And like I said, it was a game changer for me. I refocused and just thinking positively, and doing all the things that I need to do now, because sometimes it bothers my wife. She's like, nothing ever bothers you. And I'm like, oh, I could let it bother me, but what at the end of the day, what am I going to do about it? I can either sit here and pout and get angry. I said, but does that change anything? Or can I just be like, well, that happened. Let's, let's, move on, and, kids at school all the time, they like spill paint, or they'll, might rip a piece of paper or something, or break something. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Rand. I'm so sorry I did that. And I always tell them, like, you know what? It's okay. Because if that's the worst thing that happens to us today, it's still going to be a great day. Like, don't let that get you down. You're a kid. You're going to make mistakes. And, we're adults. We still make mistakes.
Yeah.
But if you just focus on, if you only focus on the mistake, then it's going to eat you up. You got to focus on, I made the mistake. Now what do I do? And then you can choose to just either go on or make a change. And, I don't know. Like, that's just, I was lucky. I was fortunate, and I don't know. You got to have a strong mind. You got to have a strong spirit to be able to do that. It's not an easy thing to do. I'm kind of all over the place with this because it opens up this whole Pandora's box of, my personal experience.
No, you're right on the money on this. These things that you guys are talking about, again, we've already kind of talked about these things. This is a spirit that you guys are experiencing, and again, like I was saying, it's going to use those things against you. It's a master of manipulation. It's going to tell you, oh, you did this wrong in the past, and that's why you're unworthy, and nobody's ever going to forgive you, or you're never going to be anything better than that. And like Russell was saying, sometimes you just have to move on. You have to cut it and go. That's what they used to say, A lot of tribes, well, I will say all 500 nations all had some sort of ceremony, had to deal with these things, fasting and prayers, and, like with us, we got, green corn, we've got these old ways, and, you got those Plains tribes, they have that Sundance, At one time, they put that fast in there, and my understanding, they still have that, they still have those things, but it's to ward off these negative forces. And they'll tell those youngsters, just like at the grounds, they used to tell them during this fasting time, things are going to come and tempt you in a bad way. It's going to be almost so tough that you can't say no. And at the grounds, they used to talk about those kind of things, and, I don't really hear those things anymore. They'll say, oh, that's a church way. That's no good. This, not, and again, that's talking hatred. At that ground, you're supposed to come correct. You're not supposed to have that kind of feeling. Everybody's supposed to be welcome, no matter who they are. As long as they abide by the rules, they're welcome, because you're never to deny anybody God's love. That's what was always told. If you have hatred, animosity against anybody, then you don't need to be there. Because if you bring that in, it's going to affect everybody at that ceremony, touching that medicine. It's going to infect like a plague. And I have a feeling, or I have a thought, that's why we as Indian folks, we're suffering from so many things today, because we've gotten away from those old teachings like that. These are bad spirits, and nobody's telling people this is what this is. This is why you feel the way you feel, and this is how you get rid of it. This is what you do. We don't have those elders anymore. We got that elder on internet called Old Man Google. He's that sacred one like that. Tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, that Miko WebMD.
I know it. So, again, I'm always sound like a broke record, but, those old ways, those true old ways, they were good, because they taught love for one another, for everyone. That's why tribes used to be so strong. They took care of each other. They never, mistreated anybody. That's why all these tribes, they had different societies, different clans, different things. It's after removal did we get all these negative thoughts that, oh, this is the Indian way. Be mean to one another. Segregate. That's a negative thought. Discriminate. That's a negative thought. That wasn't ours. That wasn't our teachings. They might tell you that, but that's not true. You know, again, you know, there's an old saying, never worship man. Worship God and the Creator. You know, that's the one you should listen to. That's who you need to talk to. That's who you need to communicate with. You know, man, he's always going to lie to you. He's always going to get things wrong. You know, it's God or the Creator that's always going to be true. You know, that's what was told to me. And, you know, again, you know, I myself, I'm bad at it. You know, I get mad easy, boy. They don't put enough bacon on my bacon cheeseburger, boy. My left eye starts twitching, boy. I'm giving that evil eye. But, you know, Russell, you know, was talking about those words are powerful. Many nations, they talk about that. You know, words can cut you like a sword. You know, be careful what you say, you know, because you might hurt someone, never can get it back. We've got a lot of fables that has that story behind it, you know, and unfortunately, I hate to say this, but all our tribes were losing those stories, you know, and that's one thing, you know, I was always happy that you and Russell, you know, did this podcast because you're bringing those stories back. What little we have today, maybe it might be preserved for the future. You know, you talked about those ones that don't have nobody, no support group, no family, no one to turn to. That's a horrible feeling. We didn't have that a long time ago. You know, we always had brothers. We always had sisters, nieces and nephews. Even if it wasn't blood, it was in an Indian way. You know, and today that's used loosely. You're my brother until you need some money. Then I go, be calling you up, boy. Never pick up. No. Need a ride from you, boy. Can't ever get a hold of you, guy. No. But, you know, those are old teachings. But, you know, again, you know, those things that you're talking about that are negative, they're real. They're a spirit. And, you know, like I said earlier, you know, we've got ways of dealing with those things. And, you know, there ain't nobody out there that don't have a story like that. Hitting bad times. Being in a very dark place. But you always hear somebody saying, I had a friend, auntie, uncle, grandpa, grandma, you know, or maybe somebody shared a kind word, said something good, blessed you like that. Again, like Russell said, words are powerful. Sometimes they can help you throughout a day. So, you know, we as Indian people, we always tried to have those good expressions, to say things, you know, to speak about things. You know, if you do something good for me, you know, if all I can do to return, I get up and I say something in your behalf. You know, I told my nephew, you know, a while back we went to a funeral, you know, and I hear people get up and, you know, they're saying, you know, things to the family, you know, a lot of times they're, you know, maybe not the appropriate thing to say, you know. But funeral is an opportunity to express something in behalf of that loved one that can't speak no more. You know, we as Indian folks, we don't tell people that. We don't say that. You know, if you go, you know, I done told my nephew, there's certain people I don't want you to have talk when I pass on. I just want you because they're gonna say all kind of crazy things.
Cut them off.
I know it, but you know, if I go, I told my nephew, I want you to express to God the good things that I've done. You know, say it in open form. You know, because again, those words are powerful, and you're gonna express for me when I can't speak. I want you to say about the good things that I've done, if I've done anything good. Don't get up and say, oh, that guy, man, unks. Man, I always own people money. But that was funny about him like that, you know. I was going to be saying, You know, but that's an old Indian way.
I think he owed me money too.
Unks like that, boy.
Could sure eat. No.
God, what?
Sure love his pop.
Oh no, he sure like pizza. So, God, every time I turn around, he was getting pizza. I said, dang.
We used to call him Slice.
Slice Hill.
Christopher Slice Hill.
So, you know, again, you know, like you guys are saying, those are good things. And, you know, that supernatural realm, as Indian folks, we really honored those things. We looked at those things from day up to sundown. You know, one of the expressions that was told at Pawhuska, you know, was from Margot Gray. Really, she really said some good words. Kind of cracked me up. You know, she was told by her grandma, you know, don't wake up in a good mood or laughing or giggling. She said, because you're going to go to bed crying. And what she meant by that is, you know, when you wake up and you do have that good feeling, pray for those ones out there. Pray for all your loved ones that things go good, you know, for them, that you want to do this or do that. Because at the end of the day, Creator might hear your words. And I like that. I really like those words. I said, man, that's old Indian words right there. So my hat's off to Margot Gray for sharing that kind of knowledge that night. You know, like I said, that Pawhuska event, boy, there were some good words said that night. So, you know, again, you know, I thought, you know, what you guys are talking about today is, you know, really good, you know, and again, I apologize if we kind of got off topic, you know, and took a whole different level.
It was supposed to happen.
Yeah. Let's talk about Giants. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to add on to yours. You're talking about, like, you know, your friends that were feeding you.
Yeah.
You know, and that's tough too, because once you see that, it's really tough to make that decision. Like, you know, you gotta cut them off.
Yeah.
Because that's your boys or whatever, you know, that's the homies. And sometimes, man, like, you know, thinking about it, like, that can happen. Like, you know, you're doing these things, and then, like, you have some friends maybe that will just keep, yeah, you need that, you know, yeah, we're here too. And, you know, rather than, like, trying to uplift you, you know, trying to talk some sense into you, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
But then again, you know, it's hard to do that, you know, because some people don't know if they're overstepping their boundaries or if they even should say anything, you know, because maybe they don't want to get you mad, or, like, just they don't exactly know what it is you're going through. But I always say, like, you know, if anybody needs to talk or anything, like, hit me up, you know, and because I've been there. I've been where it was a dark place for me as well, and, you know, just not wanting to be here too. You know, I went through that as well, and, you know, I tell people, like, if you feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, hit me up, you know, or just, you know, let it out, you know, talk to yourself or talk to the big man up there, you know, Creator, and just let it out, you know, and cry if you need to. There's nothing wrong with any of that, you know. So that's what I always say on my other one. It's like, you know, if anybody needs to talk or going through whatever, I probably can't give the advice that you think I would give you, but I can listen. That's one thing people need to, you know that, like, somebody could be there to listen. Just vent, just let it out, You know, just say, this is what, like you're saying, like holding it in. I've done that too, where I've held so much stuff in and it's just like, you can't hold it in anymore. It's, it just needs to be opened up and just all let out. And you'll feel like such a big relief of that, where it's not inside your mind, your body, your spirit, everything, and you just let it out. Like, this is what's bothering me. And then you'll feel much better, So that's why I always say, like, I'm here to talk, listen, whatever. I just know what it's like.
I don't know if you guys can look this up, but I know like they have a suicide hotline and a crisis hotline. If you guys could look that up, maybe some of the listeners might, benefit from that. I don't know, because to me, there's a reason why creators put this topic, out there. So maybe somebody needs that, So I know you guys are good at looking at that kind of stuff, and if y'all could express, where, maybe somebody out there, might be in because I've been in places where, I'm all by myself, far from home. I know that feeling, but nowadays they got, those I don't know what they call them, hotlines or whatever.
Yeah, right now you can just dial 988. It looks like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what it says right here. And or if you don't want to call, you can just text 988, and somebody will get with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I guess that's something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Maybe you'll get somebody that can help. Because I know, especially in Indian country, we got the highest rate of suicide. And also abuse. And so all kinds of forms of abuse. And so maybe somebody out there might need some help. Just like Russell said, you keeping it in so long. Somebody clear their throat, you blow up on them, you don't want that, especially, what was it, that little kid that just passed away because the mom kind of lost it on that child.
Oh, yeah.
And so, there's things out there like that happen, I know there's parents out there that might be single or too young to understand how to be a parent. They need help out there. And like I said, a long time ago, we used to have grandmas and grandpas. I've heard stories of Russell talking about his grandma. He had fond memories and good words. Think about that. I had great grandparents that were good to me. Made me feel good. I had aunts and uncles, that, really took good care of me, and I was truly blessed like that, but some people don't, especially today. We got the highest rate of children in foster care. That's sad. That's very sad, because that means they got nobody. And so, with that little bit, if you can say that number one more time.
Oh, yeah, it was 988. Yeah, you can just text or call that number. And like I said, if you don't want to speak to somebody, sometimes it's easier. I know we're technology people, so
Yeah.
I know sometimes it's easier to text than it is to make a phone call in this day and age. So,
Yep.
but don't hesitate. That's all I can say.
Yep. Same here. Don't hesitate. Know that somebody. Reach out to somebody. The number 988.
988.
Yeah, text or call that if you feel just, how we're talking this whole episode. It's rough out here. It really is. A lot of things that can happen. And, talked about this for a reason.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, we'll probably cut it here. And, thank you guys for your input on that.
Oh, this is a uplifting episode, I think. I mean, I might go home and fast. No. Or break my fast.
Not me. I'm going home. I'm getting that sacred pizza.
That sacred slice.
Cut in 4 ways for each direction, like that.
Chris slice.
Got 4 pepperonis on each slice, like that. That sacred
Like that
number.
medicine wheel. You got the pepperoni on the north position. You got the sausage in the south. They got that Canadian bacon.
And then the cheese.
And there's cheese in the West. Ooh, that cheese.
Ah,
Sacred one.
Well, tell where people were to follow you guys.
Yeah, well, go ahead. You want to go ahead, or you want me to
Go ahead.
shoot it out? All right. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm doing a weight loss transformation challenge right now. It's a 8-week challenge, and I've been posting. I haven't been posting as much. I'm still working on it, but I don't know. Sometimes I get a little self conscious about. Oh, that fool must think he's better than everybody else. You know how it goes. So I haven't really been posting a lot of stuff, but I am posting some stuff over on my Pump Action podcast, Instagram stories, and so you can find me there. But you can also find me at Skoden Cinema on Instagram as well. We also have the Facebook page, and you can find me at Tyler Randall on Facebook.
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Christopher Honka Hill, and on Facebook it's Christopher Hill.
You can also find him in line at the Little Caesars Hot and Ready.
Getting 4 for 4.
He loading up on that crazy bread.
Shout out to Yehola. He's not here. Listen to our last episode if you don't know where he is. But you can follow him on TikTok at OneManBandman918. Check out War Cry Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's his own solo podcast. He's too cool for us now. No, just kidding.
He's hanging out with those council members now.
He's got council money now.
Yeah, that's right. I saw him driving that new car.
That Rolls Royce.
Man.
But go follow him. Check him out. My personal on Instagram is at Rustamus49. You can also follow at Okie Podcast. Check me out on Facebook, Russell Sun Eagle, and check out the YouTube for Unsolved Mysteries of the Reservation. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so it can give you notification on when we drop an episode. Check us out on TikTok at Reservation_Mysteries. And I think that's it. So, till next time, everybody.
Muddo.
Smudge up.